Hi, my name is Lisanne Murphy, and I just had to give a huge shout out to Jamie Atkinson and team for the podcast Profit Lab. Guys, this program is unbelievable. I mean, besides being chock full of content and like having like courses upon courses inside this course that just help you with every step you need to know to launch a podcast, it works. It gets you results. So I joined the program about 5 weeks ago, and I just launched my podcast 3 days ago. And my podcast hit number 18 in business entrepreneurship. And in business overall, I hit 104. So just totally rocked it out of the park. And I did everything that Jamie said. In fact, I even probably took it to an obsessive level, but I did everything that he said and just had incredible, incredible results. But let me share a little story with you. So about 2 months ago, I was wanting to start a podcast. And so I spent literally 6 hours online just researching where to host my podcast. I was like, Libsyn, Simplecast, Podbean, I just don't know. So I knew that Jamie was the podcast guy. So I messaged him. We're in some of the same coaching groups. And so I messaged him and I said, hey, Jamie, where do I host my podcast? And he was like, go with Simplecast. It's super easy. It's cheap. Just do it. And so I had a few other questions. So he ended up hopping on the call with me and he's like, hey, you know what? You should join Podcast Profit Lab. And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, look, we take you from no podcast to a profitable podcast in 28 days. And so I thought about it and I was like, if it took me 6 hours to just research hosting, like how long is everything else going to take? And I probably won't even do it correctly anyway. So I made the jump, invested in his program, and it has been unbelievable. He has like a crazy amount of content every single day. He walks you through step by step exactly what you need to do. And so you can just sit back and trust that if you do everything he says each day, that in 28 days, you're going to have a podcast that is ready to go and profitable. And it did, it happened. I mean, I hit number 18 in business entrepreneurship. It's unbelievable, but that wasn't all. There have been so many unintended consequences, good consequences to starting a podcast. So for example, like my email list, I started out with basically no email list and it grew 8 times. I have a few hundred people on my email list now. My Facebook group doubled in size. The revenue that I've generated since starting to publish these podcasts and publicize about them, I've generated over $5,000, and the fruits coming from that are still coming. So that's not even a total of what I will generate from the launch of this podcast. But most importantly, I've made some amazing friends. I've made some amazing friends in the podcast Profit Lab, and the guests that I've had on my podcast have become good friends and dear friends of mine and valued people in my network. So holy cow, I just can't even, I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about how amazing Podcast Profit Lab is. So I am so grateful to Jamie for putting it together, and Gina for all the support that she gave, and the team that's in the background making sure that all of our needs are met so that everything happens the way that it needs to. So again, thank you so much, Podcast Profit Lab, for helping me launch an incredibly successful and profitable podcast. It's the best. Oh, and my podcast, it's called The Marketing Matrix. So yeah, and it's been amazing. So thank you so much for making The Marketing Matrix an incredible, incredible success.